Thank you, Logan.
Sure thing.
All right, we'll start the meeting off. Let's see. Public hearing, August 15th. We have minutes approval of that. Is there any additions or corrections from the board?
I had one of the changes I made to Nancy, which I said was implemented, so.
Are they in there in the draft?
Yeah, it was just my comment regarding
Right.
the,
Giving the zoning inspector the power to request a survey?
no, it was actually my reference to the DTJ. She had it written that it was coming off in the future, and I explained my report was basically explaining.
Okay, I don't want to interrupt here, but this was for the public hearing for the amendment.
Yes.
Yes, so those are in the regular
Oh,
minutes.
regular minutes, okay.
No, we discussed separating a portion of that amendment out, and that's pretty much all we did. So
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the public hearing minutes for ZC 2022-02.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Can we have the roll call?
Yes. PJ?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, now the minute approval for our regular meeting on August 15th.
My previous statement now applies.
I saw them.
Okay. Nothing else, no additions,
I'll
corrections?
I'll make a motion to approve.
There's been a motion, is there a second?
Second?
Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, guests tonight. Patty Carlton was supposed to be here, but due to an illness, she has canceled, so we'll see her in another meeting. Is Jim Zaccaro here from Otarma?
Yes,
Jim, you have the floor, sir.
thank you very much. Like he said, I'm Jim Zucchero with Otarma. Otarma is the Ohio Township Association Risk Management Authority and provides all the insurance for the township. That is property and casualty insurance, so all the vehicles, property, computers, crime coverage, liability coverage. And I appreciate the opportunity to come and just talk for a few minutes. First off, if anybody has any questions or problems or issues, I talk a lot with Nancy and Fred, about the program and day-to-day sort of issues. But I could give you a quick recap if you'd like. Thanks. So you have $3 million in liability protection for general liability, auto liability, public officials liability, cyber liability, that's a new coverage. And you have a total of $9 million in building value, and then the personal property within the buildings on a blanket basis. So this building could be insured for a couple $100,000, but if it's burned down or destroyed by a tornado or something, you're only limited to $9 million, not what each building is rated on. They determine the premium on. You have another $500,000 in what we call miscellaneous property. Those are items that aren't always at the same location on a road department stuff. You have 11 vehicles with about 8, can't read my own writing, a couple $100,000 at least in that. So Otarma is a nonprofit tax-exempt corporation owned by the townships that are members. And now there's about 1,050 of the state's 1,300 townships are part of the program. It continues to evolve. There is a cyber individual that I'm sure has met with probably at least Fred, because that's become a really big issue. So you have $3 million of liability protection and $250,000 of data breach coverage. You could increase that if you didn't think $250,000 was enough. So a data breach would be if you get hacked, the coverage pays to bring somebody in to figure out what went wrong. It could pay for some expenses to fix the problem, and if anybody's personal personally identifiable information's been compromised. It pays them to have a monitoring service. Forensic work, public relations could be part of it. So you could increase that from $250,000. I don't think you're taking credit card payments from your website, or I don't think you have any personally identifiable information of the public on your website. So the cyber, Aaron, the cyber expert, could be a person to talk to if you have more concerns or questions about cyber. This year's premium is $40,035. Last year it was $38,727. There's never been a rate increase since the mid-'80s when the first township joined, so I don't know specifically why it went up by $1,300, but I'm sure there's a good reason for it.
We've added, I think, some additional equipment.
Okay, that makes sense.
Vehicles, company, so
Uh,
I guess that's where it came from.
That would make sense. For planning purposes, we don't make any midterm adjustments for vehicles. So if you were to sell a dump truck and not replace it, you might expect to get some money back, but we don't do that. So if you know you're going to buy a few new vehicles right after the anniversary date, would be a good time to do it, because we're not going to charge you until the following year's policy. If that makes sense. I mentioned the program's owned by its members. This year they're giving back $800,000 to the members, and your proportionate share of that is $1,350. And you should be getting that check within any day, actually, 2 or 3 weeks from the anniversary date. So you can actually have it already. I don't have anything else to talk about unless anybody has questions or...
I don't. I mean, we've been with you guys forever, so.
Thank you very much.
What's our anniversary date?
August 1st.
Oh. So we just had it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why you came here to tell us to buy vehicles now.
Right, now's a good time.
Well, I just bring that up because, you know, they threw so much money at governments, we ended up buying, I think, 2 pickup trucks. A lot of townships did.
Yeah,
We
there's
did.
a lot of money right now for the stuff.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the board for Jim? Anybody from the public have a question for Jim?
I could keep talking, but it seems like a big audience, and I'm not the most excited about it. But thank you very much for supporting Otarma.
Thank you for taking the time to come up and address the board.
You're very welcome.
We
Come up
appreciate it.
anytime.
Thank you.
Take care. Good night.
Okay, moving right along. Logan Stanley, Auburn Scout Troop 101. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you. I am doing my Eagle project this month. I was talking with Nancy about things the township might want. And one of the things discussed was new trash boxes at the Auburn Park. I had briefly tried to get in contact with the last Eagle Scout who made the trash boxes. His name is Ron Hulk. I was not able to get in contact with him and get his original plans, so I had gone to the park and taken my own measurements and devised a set of plans from there, and then I had photocopied my notes, and that is what I just put in front of you. I've been wanting to try to get my Eagle Scout award, or rank, for a while now, and I finally actually decided to sit down and plan out how I was going to do it, and I thought where better to start than the township where our troop gets hosted. On the last page of the handout is some rough expenses that it would take for the actual supplies. Earlier today I had called Carter Lumber in Solon and asked them about how much it would take to for all the lumber and composite board that is required. I realized on my sheet there, I had miscalculated exactly how much composite lumber I would need. I have rectified that, and it'll come to about $950 for the composite.
For the total or just the composite?
Just for the composite wood,
So where you have 475, it's now
$950.
$950. Which takes the total price up to,
About $1,500.
how many of these are you thinking of making?
I'm planning on making 4. We had a Eagle Court of Honor where we were celebrating 2 Eagles, Eagle Scouts, at the park, and we noticed that all the trash cans were already full by the time we got there, and one of them was even missing a lid, the actual part that you lift up to put the trash in. So in my plans there, I have labeled out enough material to build 4 boxes and a new lid for the one that is missing.
Okay.
Now, years ago, I know, they would encourage the
Mhm.
scout to raise funds on his own.
Mhm.
Have you attempted that?
I have not yet attempted that. I have a few family members and family friends who I am planning on contacting this week.
And the other thing is, beyond Carter, there's Hartville Lumber out in Middlefield. I don't know if it'd be worth pricing the other Carter out there,
Mhm.
Burton, but sometimes I'll donate. Sometimes
Mhm.
I'll donate.
Mhm.
My son got some wood donated for, he did a kiosk up there.
Okay.
And,
I'd ask you to check into that.
Mhm.
Especially Hartville, they're new in town.
yeah,
They might be-
that's probably
they might
best
be a
bet.
different-
And again,
Mhm.
you're gonna do what you can on that,
Mhm.
and, like I said, I think this is a worthwhile project. Those trash cans,
Mhm.
they're a big help up there, and, getting enough of them, and they really add to the aesthetics of the park.
Mhm.
And I think we can come up with, whatever you're short, we might be able to cover that.
But I'd take a look around and see if you can get some.
Well, I said, you wanna get as much as you can out of it.
Mhm.
Those are kind of specialized up there, those lids in particular, you
Mhm.
saw them, because
Mhm.
the goal is to make them critter-proof, and
Mhm.
when the lids are there, they seem to work. We don't get animals in there ripping stuff out.
The only thing I've really seen get into the trash boxes is bees, but bees can get into anything.
Easy enough.
That's okay, we like bees.
Next one of us.
2 of us. Logan, when do you expect to start this project, and when do you expect to finish this project?
I'm planning on going next weekend and collecting supplies for it, and the weekend after, I'm going to have my work day to actually build the boxes and transport them to the park. When we transport them to the park, my plan is to have a couple scouts go around with trash bags and gloves and pick up any litter that is on the ground. A lot of times when we're there, we notice that there's either garbage stacked on top of the cans, or garbage that's blown away, or even just garbage that's just been placed in the corner of the parking lot.
Okay.
Well, it's definitely a good project. and I
Absolutely.
definitely appreciate you taking it on.
See what you can do for donations, and the township has been.
Do you have something that
On
you
the
need
fill,
us
yeah.
to sign?
I do. There's one there that says project beneficiary,
Guess that would be us, huh?
and then in the bottom corner of this one, there's another one that needs signed.
Okay, do all 3 of us sign, or we just need one signature? or-
Just need one.
Pretty much you, Gene, is.
Just
is
me, huh?
property.
I guess I would be the project beneficiary representative, no?
Yep.
Okay, you want it printed or what? Looks like printed. You want the address of the township and the email of the address? Email of the township,
I
not
get this address.
city.
Especially since I don't know the parking.
I don't either, but place.
Is that bottom left there, I believe.
Today is,
The sixth.
I don't know, it's on the wrong one. We'll give me 2 signatures, how's that?
Works for me.
Okay. Our address and our email, do you know those, Dan? Don't you? Well, we need to get that filled out. How about if we leave this here? Can you stop back and pick it up, and I'll have Nancy fill out our email address and all
I
that?
sure can.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll leave that for Nancy. Okay, any questions for Logan from the public?
Thank you, Logan.
No? Oh, wait, Carl?
Yeah, I have a comment. Logan, thank you for your presentation. You touched upon litter, living relatively close to the park. It's brought to my attention on a few occasions that sometimes there's been some deplorable situations with litter everywhere. I don't know of anybody that has a solution to this problem. But the future of America is with the youth of America. And I just want to instill a little thought in you, if it goes no further than you or with your troop or whatever, to do some thinking. Who knows what possible solution may come up with to help begin an alleviation of this problem that we have in America. I understand we have electric lawnmowers, self-propelled, cutting the grass back there. Maybe somewhere along that line we could get some type of a device that would automatically pick up the garbage
Maybe.
that the slobs throw out.
Parents, I'm sorry, parents. I'm there every Monday and Friday. And in between,
With a
it's,
set of motors on it.
they have to teach their children to police, I'm sorry. That's the problem.
So that's my comment, and I
Thank you.
thank you, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good. Any other comments or suggestions? Logan, thank you for
Yep, thank you.
coming to the meeting. If you stop back this week, I'll see that Nancy writes in the rest of this information, and you can pick it up, take it to your troop leader, and again, we thank you for your wanting to help Auburn Township.
And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Moving on, scheduled reports, and we'll start with Frank Kitco, zoning inspector.
Okay, you should all have a copy of activities for August. We did process 16 applications. One new addition, one new home, which now brings that to 15 new homes for the year. Had 3 agriculture exemptions, which all of a sudden we got 3. We haven't won the rest of it up to this point, so I was kind of curious about that. I did, at the previous meeting, I believe I told you that the Crash Champion, which is the business that was burned in the fire there at the Rad Van Complex, they have secured their permits and they've pretty much cleaned the site completely up, and now they're in the process of rebuilding. If you happen to notice, on the property line between the pond and the Rad Van Complex, there is a set of stairs, which was put there on a temporary basis. What has happened is during the construction, because of the construction trailers and so forth, Crash Champion's employees are now parking in part of the pond's parking lot and using those stairs to access the property. And it's been working fairly well as far as parking's always been an issue there, and it's as the uses change, the complexity changes. In other words, when the whole complex was designed and built years ago, I would say 65% of the businesses were operated during the day, the remaining operated at night, so the shared parking is not such an issue. Now, as some of the uses change, that becomes an issue. I have suggested to the two parties involved that I, as zoning inspector, am not opposed to, in the future, some type of a shared parking with the pond, with a lease agreement and so forth, because we all know 90% of the time that pond parking lot on the west side in particular is kind of vacant. And it's a massive piece of asphalt that's a hard surface and causes erosion problems, but it's not being utilized. So if the groups can get together, I'm not opposed to allowing that to transpire, in the future. So we'll see how it goes. But they are moving forward with the renovation of the buildings, and I believe they're ready to start rebuilding the one that burned down. Chief, I think they've made contact with you several times.
Yes, they have.
It would also be a safety issue. You don't want residents walking on West Washington Street to get to the.
Right, so I think it'll work out real well, so. That's all I really have. I mean, we did hear the cases and, and everything they agreed to.
You think they could put a pickleball court?
No, maybe the pond can go on there.
Frank, let me ask you this. The place on Bell and Munn, and the Auburn side, where they dump sewage, that's a sewage dump off?
Yes.
Is that something that we have access to, or is that strictly run by the county?
It's run by an individual and it's overseen by the county health department, and they did go through the permitting process or the exemption of the process of getting a permit when they put the structure up on the Auburn side that houses the equipment necessary to agitate the lagoon. But the lagoon is part in Auburn and mostly in Newberry. And it's been there, to my knowledge, Munn, it originated with Munn many years ago.
Right.
It is now, and I can't remember the young man's name who has it now, but I don't know if he's was married to, it's not, I can't remember his name.
Okay, I don't care who owns that.
But it falls, believe it or not, it falls under the agricultural exemption because of the fact that they are growing crops and trees and so forth on the property.
I guess my question, you say so part of it's in Auburn, but most of it's in Newberry.
The main access to it is from Newberry, yes.
Okay. Is it just for the purpose of sewage?
Yes.
Is there anything else allowed to be done there or dumped there?
Not to my knowledge.
Refuge or any?
No, it's just supposed to be from septic haulers dumped there, yes.
And that's it?
So,
So if there were other things being driven in there on a daily basis that was not sewage, who would be the oversight for that?
I don't know, that's
The county?
yes, I'll have to check with the county if they know anything about it.
I bring it up because I had a resident come to me and said there's a lot of trucks with refuge being driven in there on a daily basis, it's not sewage.
Okay.
And I said I would look into it.
We'll contact the county and see what they say, health department, and see what they say. But I know that not all of the haulers are allowed to go there. I mean, we have a family here in Auburn that's their business, and they cannot dump there. They
It's
have-
private property, it's just the county oversees the
Right.
management of it.
Right. But, it's a complicated issue, it's a family
Sounds
feud
like it.
type of, yeah.
Okay, like I said I would bring it up, and they were concerned that other
I
things
will,
were
yeah,
being
we will
dumped
look there,
there.
we will look into it, that's the first I've heard of. I've seen, septic haulers go there, but I've never seen anything else, but I'm not there 24/7,
Does anyone on the board have any further questions, or for Frank?
Just, what's that, you said there was buildings there, is there a treatment process that's,
It's it's a lagoon, and it has an agitator that, stirs it up and everything else. And then eventually it gets spread on, fields and so forth, farm fields and so forth.
okay, so it's just a,
Same basic principle as years ago, at one point, the McFarland sewage treatment plant. Every now and then, that gets dumped on farm fields throughout Geauga County.
It's like here, Mike, somebody's always stirring the, never mind. The pot,
The pot, yes.
that's what I was gonna say. Anybody else?
No.
Anybody from the audience have anything for Frank? Okay, then we are gonna go on to Mr. Emmerich Gordon, Township Highway Superintendent.
Thank you, Gene.
You're very welcome.
Auburn Township Road Department report, August 2022. With the capital improvement projects finishing up, all that was left were punch list items and minor issues. They did show up on the various roads and take care of the punch list items. The asphalt resurfacing was completed, and we just have the line striping remaining. And as of today, they did go out, stop bars are marked in all of our 7 roads, and Bartholomew, they did the preliminary markings as to where they're going to put the paint. They were there this morning, but they're going to chase them off. Projects for the 2023 construction season, they have been submitted to the engineer's office. We will be doing preliminary work this fall, primarily, over in Sanctuary and Golden Pond, with a lot of vegetation that's grown in the ditch line. The roads that we did select for next year, and PG and I went over this, we have Bridge Creek, which was put in 2004, Longview, 2003, Sanctuary and Golden Pond, both 2004, and Frostwood, 2004. So as you can see there, we're taking our roads to the very end at a 19 and 20 year limit. On these subdivisions, they give us a 15-year life cycle, they want you to pave in 12. Through roads, a 12-year life cycle, pave in 10. But because of where we're at right now, we do have to stretch these a couple of years. That being said, I do believe after next round of asphalt resurfacing, we'll be pretty much back down the roads that'll be within their life cycle and not stretched out that far. At 2.67 miles at the new $300,000 benchmark that we have, and with chip seal of Thorpe A and B, which was done in 2014 at 2.15 miles, we're looking at a total of $919,250, which typically we look at $950,000 to work with. The resurfacing itself is $801,000, and the chip seal will be at $118,250. And once again, these were submitted, and we'll see where the engineers come back with this. And once again, we're using numbers that the engineers supply us, so we'll be real close.
Which are unfortunately fluid.
Yeah, unfortunately, and we used to work in our own 5% buffer, the county had a 10% buffer, the buffer doesn't exist anymore, so we'll see where we're at with this. So everything was submitted to them, and that's all good to go. Stafford Road, we did take care of those 7 stumps, there were 7 stumps left. And we have some landscaping that we're looking at the end there, but after that, all the ditch checks are out, all the hay bales are out, and the project's just about completed.
Can we just talk about that landscaping stuff
Yes,
for a
sir.
second here,
Yes.
because the board's just seeing this estimate.
Okay.
We spoke with residents at 3 different locations on that road, at the west end, the east end, and then right in the middle, where there's a slight turn. We made some special considerations with them at the start of this project. It wasn't, John was dealing with it at the time. And we agreed that since these properties were so heavily affected by this road, because the road had drifted over the years, that we would do some consideration and try to bring them back to where they were. There were some other places in between too, where driveway approaches were cut out, there were concrete. And Emmerich, what was the word you used? We're gonna put it back the same way we found it.
Put it back the same way we
Yeah,
found it.
and so that was kind of the theory with the residents at each end and the one in the middle. The guy at the east end talked for a while about putting the fence back up, and, well, you know, never got back to me either, so, I think kinda likes it the way it is now. The one in the center was satisfied finally, and we're spent countless times out there with him. And the west end, that road kind of is right,
The right-of-way ends right at their porch step. They didn't have, I'm gonna put it this way, they didn't have any organized manicured landscaping in there really when we did this project. They mowed it,
A couple trees and a couple bushes.
yeah. So Emmerich and I met with the property owner, with Joe Drake, at, I don't know, it was a week or 2 ago maybe. And I think they kind of gave a wish list, and Joe gave us an estimate, what would it take to fill that. Now, that amount I think is, in excess of what we anticipated spending on this. But I do think we should make right by them to some degree.
So what we're doing is providing screening, because we did remove the screening from the mound that they have along the side of their house. The reason being is that the road is 4 foot off center in that location. PJ has it right. The right-of-way is actually at the step on their side door. That's the road, the house is on the road. And these are one of the considerations that, like you said, we did talk about, is providing them screening to replace what was there. But once again, this could be back and forth on this, is what was there versus what we're supplying or willing to supply.
So the road was put where it was supposed to be?
It was moved 4 more feet, but it's actually centered up with the section across.
So if you're gonna put up screening, you're gonna put up the screening like this far from their porch?
It's where the other vegetation was.
Where it
correct.
fit,
Yes.
actually, it's where it fit. Obviously, nothing's gonna fit when we're right on their porch steps.
Mhm.
But that was the intention of the.
Am I assuming they don't
Mike,
use
you were-
the porch step?
Mike, I think the line you used
They
at the
do
time.
use the porch step?
They say they do.
Mike, the line you used at the time when we were first discussing this was, we ought to be able to get this road in somehow without putting it through your living room, I think is what you said, so.
I mean,
And-
we had
and
the
that
same
was-
problem
You missed
years
the
ago
living
on
room.
Thorold. You know, if we did the road where it was supposed to be, it'd be in the river.
Right.
If you remember that.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should take this to that resident,
Okay.
and, well, we'll make an offer, I think. You know, I mean, we,
Is this the offer?
no, this is what this was kind of their wish list, was it not?
This was the residents' wish list?
Emmerich and I had no input on this estimate. This was between JFD and the property owner.
Is that one property owner or three
Yes,
property
one.
owners? So this is being done just for one property owner?
Yes, sir.
But that was the intention from the start. I have no intention of backing away from it, but I don't have intention of going this far either.
Right, and with Mr. Everly as well, this is what we discussed with the Lowe's, is that, you know, we're removing all your vegetation, your trees and bushes, and
Right.
we were after, because we had to move the ditch line
Right.
to accommodate the repositioning
Okay, well,
of the road.
That seems fair to me. I mean, like you said, we're replacing what we took.
What we took, right?
Okay. All right, and so you're gonna meet with him and go over this
I
and
think
see
we
what we
should.
come up with?
Yeah, I think that's what we'll be doing in the near future here. I'm not sure this is something that's gonna get installed this fall, might be. There's still a couple months of planting season.
Right, there's some times.
All right, off our roads and what the county's doing, I see two big signs on Edward Lane that are covered up. What, is that
Yeah,
have to do with the?
913,
They're gonna start paving
they're gonna
Mud
start paving Mud.
from Crackle
From
to
Crackle
East
to
Washington?
Washington, yes.
Are they closing the road, or will there be one lane open?
There should always be one lane open on these projects. I understand it's not a reconstruction, so it should be just a resurface
Okay.
with repairs happening first.
So
it
I
says
will
for
be able to
21
get out.
days, yeah. I hope so, yes.
I didn't mean to get throw you off
Yeah,
track.
the
I know
only-
you
No,
guys
no,
are-
that's
The only
fine,
place
that's fine.
both lanes are gonna be closed is between Bartholomew
Yeah.
and Crackle.
And Crackle.
Yeah, there you go,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll just cut through the woods.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, so I gave you the list there. We did get, PJ, the reduction for the chip seal for this year.
Yeah, that was significant.
I did see that.
Yeah.
We were looking at 188,000 and, oh, there was a bumpy, it was confusing. But we ended up with that at 106, just under 161,000, so.
Right, a decrease of $27,000
Yeah.
within the project itself.
I did see that.
Okay, hey, the roadside mower was out, but it's still experiencing some electrical gremlins. We had Edinburgh tractor come in, take a look at it, he got it running, it ran for 4 days, he was pointing to some relays, we replaced them. The tractor's down again, so he's got the schematics, we can't chase through it, these modern pieces like he can, so I may be calling him back in if we can't figure it out the next couple of days, and have him look at that again. So.
All right, so we used to have a guy that worked for us that was pretty fond of sticking that probe in the wires and stuff.
Yeah,
You know, we
yeah.
ended up with burned out wires.
Burn out
and
wires,
shorted
were
wires.
rusted out, yeah.
Is there any evidence of that with this machine?
No,
No, you don't think so?
Yeah, with some wiring,
Good.
so we'll
All right.
take care of that. We did clear some brush around signs and some intersections to improve sight distance as well. We had one dry pipe replacement on Creighton Drive and a small ditching project on Brookfield. We took care of some erosion issues on Stafford Road with 1 ton of number 1 gravel stone. The amount of work that I have from the residents right now, RDR's residential ditch requests, we're about 95% through the list. So we're doing good. I imagine by November 1st we'll have everybody taken care of, so off the list. Asphalt patching was done on several roads as well as bleed-through control on chip seal roads. The patching that we did do, we did some cold patching, we did some hot mix, and we took care of the hole up at Adam Hall that was in the parking lot up there. If you remember, there's a big hole near the light post there, so we took care of that as well. The one thing that is telltale here is that years ago, when we were just coming and just chipping our roads, just getting hard surface, we would go through $100,000 a year worth of hot mix. If you remember that, PJ, quite a bit. We're down to a few $1,000s chasing whatever's out there. So that in itself is a testament to the stability of our road base out there that we have. So I'm pretty happy with where we've come with this, where we've whittled down the maintenance costs, and we're able to apply this to surface now. So we're in good shape.
I hope that continues. I remember doing greater patches a lot.
A lot, yeah. It's, if you notice that we're pretty stable now, even our chip seals are performing very well. And the rest of the balance of the patching that we'll be doing this year will be primarily on some chip seal roads. I have a couple gravel roads that we can take care of, but we're looking pretty good. Nancy's gonna crunch the data for us. We'll get our pie charts and our charts, and we'll see where we're at as far as acceptable surface. And we're always shooting for 90% acceptable surface. That's where we wanna be. That's it.
I don't have it with me tonight, it's at home, but the sheriff's report we made on the road damage down there at Ladue
Yes.
Trails. I think I was goofing around with the fair and you were busy and we were kind of communicating through Nancy for a couple days there.
Yeah.
That was posted. That was one thing I heard back that the sheriff said, well, it had to be posted that this was new asphalt. It was on 44.
I don't know if it was in the trails.
Right, I have the workup for the repairs, including everything, crack seal, grinding, a hot mix. One of the things is the volume is so small, it's like 3 cubic yards.
Yeah, it's just
So
for the public here, and I
Yeah.
think we mentioned at the last meeting, the day we did the resurfacing there, the new trails and the whole subdivision, that evening or later that afternoon, a lumber truck went in there with a self-contained tow motor. It's made all its turns and just pushed it around like warm butter, you know, so.
So, my next thing that I need to do here, PJ, is take that and approach a couple of the contractors. The engineers won't do it, we need to go to private.
There was some
companies.
implication that it wasn't posted right. I think it was. I saw those signs.
Yeah, so.
Who made that, who said that?
What?
That it wasn't posted?
I don't know, because it was you and I talking through Nancy. I never did talk to you those 2 days that
Yeah,
I did
if
that.
there was signage there warning that it's, hey, it's brand new surface, so. But there were signs up that,
There were signs up at the entrance.
yeah, so that's the next action that we take is I approach a contractor and then I quote and see where it goes from there. And we'll provide that to our APA.
And that posting for that asphalt should have been the contractor, not, that wasn't us.
Correct.
That should have been
That's
the
the contractor,
mobilization,
yes.
yeah. Yeah. So I think we got a claim, I do. All right, that's all I.
Is there anyone from the audience that has any questions for our road superintendent? Logan?
You had mentioned you were fixing some of the potholes around. There's a giant pothole right at the edge of the Ladue boat launch, right where it pops off East Washington.
Unfortunately, that's not an Auburn Township road.
Okay.
So, we actually did just vacate that last year. And that's a responsibility of Akron themselves.
Okay.
Well, I know it's in some very large holes.
Okay. No other questions for Mr. Emmerich? We'll move on. Trustees, Michael Troyan.
Okay, a couple things I want to bring up. With quite a few cases of COVID going through the township here, and I was thinking that it's really not fair that the township employees should have to use up their sick time due to COVID. We got money that came in from the ARPA funds, which is basically designed to keep us, make up for losses in revenue. So I think that any of that time, should be paid for through the ARPA funds. I just kind of wanted to bring that thought out. We don't have to make any action on it right now, just something for you guys to think about. It's not super time sensitive, but the issue came up because Nancy was out. She was out of sick time, and Jane had brought up whether she could donate some of her sick time to Nancy. I said, no, you can't really do that, but that got me thinking on the ARPA funding. So I'm not going to make a motion or anything on it because I don't like people who blindside people at other meetings and try to get decisions made right away.
But I think that's kind of specifically what that was for, so.
The guy in the fire department, who, us? I made that discussion a few times. Second thing, again, we finally have some information, or we're supposed to have some information regarding the ARPA funding priority list. Did you guys get that in your boxes?
Say it again?
The ARPA funding for the fire department projects.
I did not.
I picked up yesterday or day before, I didn't see it, thanks.
Okay. Does anyone, no, you guys aren't here for that, are you? Okay.
I can speak to it if you want, I don't have it in front of me, but
Oh, you
got
wanna
it.
you wanna take my sheet and give them a cursory review of it? And then get copies, have them get copies to them so we can,
I thought we had done that, my apologies if we didn't get with it.
yeah,
It was all
because I
right.
thought in the last meeting, I wanted to get copies to everybody here so they'd have a chance to review it.
Okay, briefly, Cut to the bottom line. We have a radio system that started way back when Perry Nuclear Power Plant, correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, went in, that the 800 radio system was adopted by the county at that point in time, and all the public service agencies in the county have been mandated to go along with that. Over the years, we've expanded we replaced radios and such like that as they've gone out of service and out of date, and we're at that point in time once again. The radios that we have are being taken out of service due to failures. We can't get parts for them, and the service suppliers are saying you can't replace them, you can't rebuild them anymore, you can't repair them. So we're facing changing the entire fleet, all of our mobile radios and all of our portable radios that go into the trucks. Bottom line cost on that is approximately $162,000. That includes some upgraded paging systems for the fire station itself. We've tried to, we're not even getting as many radios as we had originally. We're trying to make better use of the numbers. Again, correct if I'm wrong, Chief, I'm kind of working with this.
You're correct.
So, so that was one part of it. And the other part of it is the air packs that are worn by the firefighters to, they go on their back when they go to fires or national security systems. Those air bottles are only good for a 15-year lifespan. After that point in time, they cannot be hydro tested to go into another lifespan at all. They're the lighter composite bottles, which are easier on the guys to wear, but unfortunately, the lifespan is not the same as the old steel ones. Those are falling out of date, can't be used anywhere after beginning of 2023. So we've got those on the list at, apologize for my, $35,105.54. So, quick math, you're looking at a couple $100,000 there by the time we find out the brass tacks. The quote on the radios is solid. The quote on the air pack bottles are solid at that point in time, but these prices are changing daily. So that would be the two priority items. We're still in need of some turnout gear, but again, that could be held off until a later point in time and see what funding is maybe left over at the, closer to the deadline of having something, to do on those. If there's a need to use up a little bit of funds at the tail end. So that wouldn't be part of this.
What was the figure on that?
That was about 40,000. And again, the prices on that's up. That's enough to equip 10 firemen, fighters. So, any questions on?
How much money are we playing with here as far as what we have for this program?
We started out with 650.
675.
675. We're talking
We spent some.
162 for phones.
For radios and about 35,000 for air pack bottles. And again, we're doing the same thing with air pipe valves. We are not replacing everything that we used to have. We're trying to get down to what we need. Okay. We've held off a little bit on this request because we've actually applied for grants several times on this. We haven't had any success in applying for those grants. And the grant system itself, it seems like it's been running a little bit amok at both federal and state levels. The grant that I normally get from the state that's between $3,000 or $4,000 this year, it came in $700. So the funding that they have to work with is, I don't know if they gave it to it more upfront with the ARPA funding, some more of this is at the backside or what.
So what we're talking about also is, if we were to approve this, to just send over the ARPA funds for them to put in an account to buy these particular items. And what they can do is, especially for the radios, is not have to buy them all at once, buy them as they need them. And if at some point in time, a grant does come in, then we'd have some leftover funds which, would come back. But at least we can start replacing the radios, at least part of the system.
Dan, can we get a report from you and Fred as to where we're at with that ARPA money at some point? Because I know we spent some of it,
We spent somewhat on the
The-
park railing, we're designating some for the cemetery railing, the park parking lot.
Generator was, this
The
one,
generator
this
was
one,
part
this
of it.
one was, I thought this one was an OPEC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was right, that was
Yeah, I
one.
think you're right.
So I think the two biggest things we had were the cemetery rails, and then we designated, we're establishing some funds for the park.
Out of this one?
Well, we haven't paid that bill yet, but yeah, that was, I'm sure,
Yeah, I think that
I'm
was
sure
the
that's the
discussion.
one, that's the one. We don't have it yet, but,
So,
So, are you?
Chief, did I miss anything on that?
No.
Okay.
Are you suggesting that we give them, the fire department, the money? Or, I mean, we're in charge of those ARPA funds.
You have to sub-grant it.
So would it be more prudent that we just give them, write a check when they're ready to replace those instead of?
we got an expert
Yeah,
there.
just make sure, and have your fiscal get with me and we can talk about it, how you guys wanna structure it, but either you, if they're gonna purchase it, you have to sub-grant the funds. If you guys are gonna purchase it for the township, then that's a different process. So whatever you guys figure out, but if you're moving those funds to another entity because it's a private fire company, the way you guys are structured, you have to make sure that you're,
I think-
you have to sub-grant the funds, which we've done before.
This is
I think with-
Kristen Ryan from the prosecutor's
Yeah.
office, so
Right.
you know which is big.
Gene, I think, well,
She kinda answered it, I mean, if.
well, yeah, but that wasn't what you said. You were still planning on giving them the money, but when they were ready to purchase it, they were
Right.
gonna purchase it, not us.
We
Yeah, so
can
you-
give them the money to purchase a
That's what I'm
specific.
saying. Make sure, you guys figure out how it is you wanna try to do it. Have your fiscal talk to me about it. Once you have your plan, then I can figure out if that's the right way to do it with the funds.
Okay.
Cause they're
Okay.
pretty specific, so you wanna make sure you are doing it
Correct,
correctly.
yeah, I'm not opposed
Yeah.
to it, I just wanna
I know-
make sure we just can't write them a carte blanche check.
Yeah, well, that's why I didn't
No, you
wanna,
can't.
I don't wanna bring this up all at once, which I wanted to kinda give you, because those are big numbers to see all at once, you know? Yes, sir.
I think we did something very similar with the CARES money
We did.
for the pickup truck that we're buying. I think there was a sub-grant
Well,
contract.
that was for an ambulance.
Well, the ambulance was the
CARES,
first
that was
gig.
CARES money.
CARES money was the ambulance,
Pickup truck was the tail end of that.
it's also the tail end of the CARES money.
So I think we did an agreement on that, so I think there's some, we could probably look back at what we did there and.
And they're
Well, I think
different,
that's-
different bills and different administrations.
Well, I think we'll
so
jump
make
back
sure
on
we're
this.
getting
First,
it
we'll
right.
establish if we're gonna do the funds. And then, once we've established that, then we send the Kristen letter, best way to handle it. But like I said, I'm not gonna make any motions tonight, because I still want you guys to have a chance to mull it over for, at least till the next meeting or so.
Do you need anything else from us, Mike, on that?
Like I said, I thought, but I left the last meeting, I thought we were gonna get packets from Mario for all the trustees.
That's what I thought too.
Did you hear that? And as you see, the only one I had is the one I basically took off my phone.
I will get things emailed to
Copy.
everybody, how's that?
So, let's get that information here, to all the trustees, as soon as possible, so they can have a chance to look it over
Right.
before the next meeting, or 2 meetings from now. Like I said, it's something we've been working on for a while, so it's not super time sensitive, but, you know, I do want to get things moved. It's been on our old business now for 6 months, and kind of like to get it moving.
Copy that.
Is that it?
That was all my trouble for one day.
Mr. Kavanaugh?
As we just noted, Chrissy Ryan's here from the prosecutor's office to talk about some pending litigation here. And everything else I have, we've already discussed or is on the agenda, so I'm going to pass.
The thing I have 2 things. One, the most important thing is, I want the residents to know I have started a major file on pickleball. Okay. I did contact Solon, they did send me all the information that they got from the National Pickle Board, what it costs, what you need, what have you, and who knows, down the road, you know, you could put a pickleball court, you can tape it and make it on a hard surface, you don't have to go to the expense of
Actually,
Maybe we could do it at the.
the company next to mine, just outside the window,
Is doing a
some
pickleball.
girl was out there doing striping, and they have a little pickleball cart right out there on their driveway.
Well, I tell you, I don't know if it's just me or what, but I pick up the Wall Street, there's pickleball. I turn on my TV show, it's pickleball, so, you know,
And-
I guess.
And Gene, you may want to
pickleball's
mention
it.
too, that we're there for the first
We were for the
responders.
first responders at the Kenston football game Friday night to honor our first responders. Mike and I were there, and it was a great event before the football game. So, I had mixed
It was
emotions.
good to see you guys there.
Hey, behind the scenes, man, you know.
Had very mixed emotions, because as you know, I bleed bomber blue, but my grandson was the starting nose tackle for Notre Dame Cathedral Latin, and there you go.
Well, my grandson is the snare drummer for the band, and thanks to his input, we won.
That's right. The other thing, a little more important, I don't know how we're gonna handle this. I went and I talked to our architect, I sat in his office. We're almost missing a second round here. I begged, I pleaded, I asked if there was something that I didn't know when I came on the board or why this hasn't been done. But this started in January with me getting this project done at the park. And we are still no farther ahead. And I'm wondering if it's now time to write him a Dear John letter, and we need to start looking for another architect. I'm just putting it out there, but nothing seems to be happening. I mean, other than going there and throwing myself on his desk, which I did. Which I did.
John did, and I did
And,
it too, so.
and it's not happening, and here we are, it's fall. And we were saying, okay, we in the spring, well, we got fall. Well, it's fall, we're going through 2 rounds here now, and we've gotten nothing. And, you know, he explained it very easily. He's got 3 guys to do enough work for 20 guys. And, you know, it's a nice problem to have, but it doesn't help our situation. And how much longer can we go like this without
Well,
getting,
I'd say
he's still
it's-
holding bids for trees to be removed and what have you, and,
Well, I concur, and I understand his problem, but we have to act on our problem. Our problem is fixed, not getting done.
right,
So I think I would concur with a Dear John letter and start looking for someone else.
all right.
Well, and Hess and Associates is about the only, most local one I can think of.
Who's that?
Chip,
Yes,
Chip
I know
Hess
Chip.
out of Newbury.
Chip was in my leadership class, so I know Chip. All right, well, I will instruct Nancy and we'll write that Dear John letter, and I think it's time to move on. Please.
We move quick enough, we can start November 1st with tree removal.
Right.
That can last all the way to March 31st.
Right.
My conversations with Dave Wagner is one guy. He does want to wait till it dries up a little bit. He doesn't want to move in March or
Right,
April.
right.
He would tackle that more in a dry time in the summer. So we do have, if they can get this ingress egress thing figured out, which is where we're deficient on these drawings that were supplied, we can get started with cutting the trees.
That was a
right
pretty
away.
serious error.
It was.
Not our part.
Well, I supplied an entire file
Right.
with overhead views with ingress, egress,
He
apron size, everything,
Neglected to
and-
include it in his drawings.
Right.
It's- Yeah.
At least if we get the trees, nothing else but the trees down this
Right.
year, at least
Right.
that takes care of the bat issue.
Right.
Right.
Unless there's something like ground bats or something, we can't.
All right, well, like I said, I'll sit with Nancy tomorrow, we'll get that letter written to our architect, and we'll look further.
We contact Chip right away this
Yeah.
week.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. Okay, that kind of covers our old business, and is there anything in the new business? We've already gone through the Geauga County Engineer's Office final order change, the recommendation to pay Roniak, Charter Communications franchisee, we are receiving $5,156.43. We did not discuss this. We had museum donations from the William and Linda Noakes in memory of Dorothy Papp for $50 and in memory of Robert Hamilton for $50. And I think we need some kind of note to where that money can be put. It is special note that it's going to go into the museum.
Well, if it's a museum donation, then we do have a current fund for the museum, I believe that we put that $75,000 in from Auburn Church.
Okay,
So we have a place to put it,
all right.
so.
I think we
I'll
just
motion
need to
take
so
the-
vote it, yeah, make a motion.
Make a motion to have those donations put into the,
Into the museum fund.
yeah.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Roll call.
Aye. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Resolution 2022-31 supplemental appropriations. Is that something you have, Dan? Yeah, okay, here we go. All right, the Board of Trustees, Auburn Township, Jog County, Ohio, met in regular session on the 6th day of September 2022. Present were Eugene McCune, Patrick Kavanaugh, Michael Troyan. Is there, so who moved to?
I'll make a move.
Mike Troyan's moved to for the adoption of the following resolution. Be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Auburn Township, Jog County, Ohio, that it is necessary to adopt the following. $13,000 supplemental appropriation to Road and Bridge Fund, account 2031-330-314 for tax collection fees. $1,770.62 supplemental appropriation to general fund account 1000-110-314 for tax collection fees. $37.01 supplemental appropriations to the fire levy fund account 2191-110-314 for tax collection fees. Therefore, the board adopts the aforesaid. And PJ, you want to second the motion?
Second.
And the resolution and the roll being called upon its adoption, the vote result as follows.
Mike. Yes. PJ.
Yes.
Gene.
Yes. Okay, that's that.
Gene, you wanna go back to the chart of communications?
Sure.
Since we've always put that into the land acquisition and improvement fund, I would like to make a motion to send the $5,156.43 to that account.
Second.
To put the money from the,
Charter
Chart of communications in the land
Land
acquisition and improvement
acquisition.
fund. Mike. Yes.
Yes.
Gene.
yes.
Okay, I think there's one more piece of business here, and pertains to chip seal various roads, contract CS Auburn V22. Engineer recommends we approve change order number 1, which pertains to gravel amounts and aggregate amounts. So I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the only change order to that contract.
Second. Mike. Yes. PJ.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that being done, upon change order approval, county recommends payment of pay application number 1 and final in the amount of $160,933 even to Roniak Paving Incorporated. And that is a revised contract cost decrease by $27,317.
Okay, take a
So-
motion, PJ?
Yes.
Second. Mike. Yes. PJ.
Yes.
Gene.
Yes. So the next event is we need to close this motion, this meeting, and make a motion to go into executive session.
Well, we're not closing this meeting.
No.
We're just going into
We're just going
executive session.
Before we do that, though, are there any comments or suggestions from our residents before we do that? Carl?
Yes, I'd like to address this to Emmerich. Emmerich, I didn't quite get what you were saying when you had turned around like you did just now in regards to the comments I meant about some of the truck.
And I was saying that if the parents would police their children and the grounds, we wouldn't have the mess that we have up there. That's because typically after the athletic events, these are all litter the field.
I
So,
see.
and it's just people not watching and taking their own litter home, or putting it in the.
All right, I just wanted to make sure that you didn't think I was implying that you or the
No.
road department or somebody wasn't
No.
doing their job.
No.
It was just that I was trying to instill in Logan's
Yeah.
mind a little bit about kind of a whacked out idea, but you never really know of some way of circumventing the issues that you're dealt
No,
with.
actually, his additional boxes will be much appreciated. I have 2 smaller boxes up there. And I think the last 2 weeks in a row, we had a dozen pizza boxes piled by each box, and actually the raccoons come and tear it up. And our whole thing is we don't come on the weekends, because that's, I don't come on overtime. We service Friday prior to the weekend events, because we are renting out the pavilion. And then we return on Monday and clean that up, ready it for the week, so it's Monday, Friday that we're there, so.
I think we all understand what I was trying to say.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And I definitely agree with the two of you of, it does start with the parents, but it is also the responsibility of the children and the adolescents to pick up their own stuff.
Well said. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Will there be any, once you exit executive session?
No, we're not planning on
will there
having
be
any.
further action?
No action after the
Okay, thank you.
executive session.
Is there a motion to go into executive session? Well, we got a purpose we gotta read here, right? Go ahead.
I'll make the motion to go into executive session for the purpose of conference with the board's attorney concerning pending court action pursuant to RC 121.22 G3.
Second.
Mike? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you again for participating in your local government.
Frank, you heard Silver's a better